아래 당도 그신 지단에 저기 지금 뭐 보충세로 지기네 현리아제기 개린제제 맞제바 있나 안디기 지게 봐 디세네 원게 지고 말데 세네 원게 맞제바자 맞을래 세나게 봐서 세나게 되부디 아니 개와치마 아니 이달게야다 되네게 레사고레스 지상고 보충중지 되네 체베네 디바치마 사비오베이나 심제 탐지교단달이야 산요고본 토버쇼스베 장주 셈게 내 심제 탐지교단도 안에 정주심에 줘발라긴 세베 담자 켈린제네 안야 신이라 팬도 마주바 장주심 냠렘 마제바다 데넥제베나 근데 디바치모 차사고레 데자 데네자 디기 아니 지게 개와치말이야 마소스라 텐롤라 기야게 파샤티네 무대신 안돌리 기야게 두스 규사고르 데네자 데네게 안에 셈 데 지바유텐제 장주 셈 미냠바 나 미냠바 제야고 냠네 저거 기침으로해서 그게 디고 얼마도 쉬어라.
Good evening. Last week then we looked at how in general if one has made the mental commitment to give something, even if it's something that's insignificant or of no real value, but then out of the self-centered attitude of miserliness, one does not give what one had intended to give, then through that non-virtue arising from miserliness, one creates the cause that can lead to rebirth as a spirit. So then, if merely not giving a common everyday item, when one had intended to do so, leads to such an outcome, how much more so if one betrays all sentient beings, whereby having made the promise to become a Buddha for their sake, to help them gain freedom from all forms of suffering, if one betrays that promise and thereby betrays all sentient beings, that will surely lead to rebirths in the lower realms. So therefore, through relying on conscientiousness, ensure that one's bodhicitta does not decline. If one has made the vow of a bodhisattva but then does not engage in negativities, surely this will lead to a great non-virtue. But that having been understood, though, a doubt may arise.
And Migang Janchu Sim Tanya, Deda Tower Chevani, Lesu Samji Mikapde, Tamji Kimba Kone Kins.
And this doubt is addressed in the 7th verse. Regarding those who abandon bodhicitta but strive for liberation instead, the workings of karma is inconceivable and only understood by the omniscient.
당보 측이디기 미가 장주 셈다야 대다 타우라 제바니 세디다디 도바단 지와디시레 단이바들 레수 삼기 미접데 탐지 캠파 코네 켄세데 델리안 렌로 자두수세세 마시시 두스 제거레 숨거레.
The first two lines express the doubt regarding those who abandon bodhicitta but strive for liberation instead. So that's the doubt, and then the reply to that doubt is in the next two lines. The workings of karma is inconceivable and only understood by the omniscient.
나나보 미강 장주 셈다야 대다 타바 제바네세 대다 미가시 지가시게네 당보 장주 셈게 한 장주 셈게네 안 장주 셈규레 개바이나야 안 디제소야 지 네스 강하다 되네게 체베 온 견체네 안 견난바 체체네 안 장주 셈 파동전 장주스 마다 요르와스 장주 셈 다양스 당와 요르와스 거다 되네게.
The doubt then is in reference to a bodhisattva, a being who has generated uncontrived bodhicitta, but then when this new bodhisattva encounters challenges, they end up abandoning their bodhicitta, giving their bodhicitta up.
Delia Bena Papa Shiribu said in Anzuye, and then Yama Janjusemba is ordered, Janjusemba, Solan Chungoche, and Delia, and Janjusem Patong Jen, Janjusem Nyam Dijelian, Nyandigalam, Yes, Lam Shujen, and the Judging Bijibu Toson Tovarua.
This is in relation to the illustration of the Arya Shariputra, who initially was a bodhisattva and was whilst abiding on the small level of the path, or the Mahayana path of accumulation, abandoned bodhicitta. Then entered into the paths of the hero and solitary realizer, progressed to attaining the state of an arhat. So the question then is in relation to such a practitioner.
Nikasenti shua dragasan janju semto waina ane ngandule ki rugure larwa chesa ngandule ki ne dendro ki ma ngandule ki gres so aiza an papa shiri bodi dan janju semtong je janju sem ko janju sem bare janju sem ne ba nyam rodu ane ko tarwa to rugdo was chesa ko nye wa ki min was warda janju sem dona ne nye wa ki gres de ta ta chag min wa chesa papa shiri bodi janju sem tong je ane to bare de ne ko ane jaju mi ju nye wa ma je jaju mi ju to to was 미가 자슈 셈다 양세 셈땅 양세의 셈다아레디나 저주미티고 도도하시고.
So looking at these first two lines, the doubt that then is being expressed is specifically in relation to Shariputra. He entered into the Mahayana paths, having generated the path of accumulation within, and whilst still at the beginning of that path, abandoned his bodhicitta. Now, previously we had heard that if one abandons one's bodhicitta, thereby turning one's back on the promise that one had made to all sentient beings, surely one will end up being born in the lower realms, probably even in hell. But here we hear about Shariputra, who did abandon bodhicitta, but entered into the paths of the Theravada and progressed to becoming an arhat. So surely this is contradictory then.
Deda tabra jeba nies ne semdamba dang ne judgment tobares judgment toba mase andigi deda andigi semjen mangbo le chue tianje semjen mangbo ane kowalia tabra je judgment bola goba jibores deda tabra jeba nies de shirigo korong janju semdong an judgment bo top an shenlia korong lo mangbo le chue tianje denigi semjen mangbo ane ya kaso judgment ya goba tawa kulwe koale droje tarbelam la jembar chigore ese deda tarwa jebanis.
The second line, but strove for liberation instead. So this is what Shariputra did. He, having abandoned bodhicitta, he then strove to attain individual liberation. But whilst he was then progressing along the paths of the Theravadan practitioner, he continued to benefit others, benefit them by guiding them to achieve their own individual liberation. So the second line can be translated in a different way, but led others to liberation. So the first two lines could be translated as, regarding those who abandon bodhicitta, but lead others to liberation. So this then is where the doubt comes, that instead of falling to the lower realms, Shariputra himself strove for and achieved liberation and guided others to achieve liberation.
Daja miga janju sem taya chido siribu janju sem dong ane sem damba ina cetelia jajun bijibu top and daju tewa maze and shana shenlia chue dianje kowalu zheje kowi ya tarji tarbalia goibeke denige jawa jigiduas jide dini shebanza ane janju sem dongwa ina ane ngandrole kigiri dendrole kigma sedi dini tata chagminwa sambigida di ligorwada ondus jine jiwaru ligorwadi. So
the doubt is that previously it was stated that if one abandons one's bodhicitta and thereby abandons the promise one has made to so many beings, one will be born in the lower realms. Here we see an illustration of someone who did just that, but didn't achieve that stated result. In fact, they went on to become an arhat. And not only did they themselves gain personal benefits, the benefit of liberation, but they were able to guide others to attain their own individual liberation. So this appears that what was stated before is contradictory to the example, the lived example of Shariputra.
Chico lam yam go marwa, Chizan lam yam meazan, what yandic lam yamlin chigorwa. Chizan yamlin chevaida, Sosorana geta agile, Sosugi, Yomo body, Nimbo tinge, Yomo badiva, Chigma, Nimbo tin, my pantuguina, and they go quality yomaro, Kewa, Leangamba has a sabine, New quality, Manson like Yegi, Kin, Yomo body mena, Guyana, and they will mean to go marwa. Chesa king also la kelia give you less agore less about some yama less about the dike the king nyomo bokugorba chesa dan sedelia so nimbo topshi tenje lam nyamlin jeju kom shukom bache nyomo ba pambaine then sedelia pantuguena then kowal kitu maro ye yamaro da na kasa kowal sa kowal mase the ngason la kia yuni umaro.
What may well have occurred here is that having abandoned bodhicitta and thereby gained this great negativity, the practitioner, in this case Shariputra, didn't give up, but rather he strove for his own individual liberation and entered into the paths of the Theravada. And as he trained and progressed in the paths of the Theravada, he applied the four opponent powers effectively to purify the misdeed of abandoning the vow of the Bodhisattva, and was able to train so effectively that he abandoned the afflictions together with their seeds, and thereby could not be reborn in the lower realms, despite having abandoned bodhicitta. Because if the afflictions together with their seeds have been abandoned, one cannot, due to karma, take rebirth in samsara, because one has abandoned the afflictions together with their seeds. And the cause is eradicated, the result cannot follow. So whilst that may have been the case for this individual practitioner, it certainly is not necessarily the case for others. Having abandoned bodhicitta, there is no certainty that one will have sufficient strength of mind and skill to gain the paths of the individual liberation in that life, and thereby may well end up falling to the lower realms because of the non-virtue that is now being accumulated and not purified.
Dinigi that you are delay, Jessica Chimba Karasungor, Sena, Jeza, that Shiribu, and a Shiribu, and Shusem Tonare, the Sedelia, judging between Tobadi, Yudan, Kin, Mambulatine, Togo, Mother Yudan, Kin, Mebala, Togo, Marwa, Jeza, Dinigi, you gave le, some Yimisuba, some Yimikaso Legi, Le, gave le, some Yimikabade, Sayore, or that some. Le chu samji mi chapte su chesa le deni ge thoye ge le ge wi le samji ba sa ba de nga chu ge samji mi chapa su de le deni kar thoye ge sheri bu ge janju sim nyam na ya che de le ya nga so la ke mo wa she ta chu mi go thop thoye di ge wi le kanis sa yo ba de nga rang chu ge so so ge ge samji mi chapa re nga rang chu sam na ta thu nga zo ha go thu yo ma le je le nga zo ha go thu ma re ye kanik Gaby le Ganistaba, Ganistaje, and it ja, and the jiggy tarbial go on top to Vare, Nicola only came over the carriage by residue, just a leg, let's Palmer, some Yimicavage, Lesudi, Manzu gave le Sayo, but the Gansu Ganichi, but Manzu, some Yimicavacity, Maranzu, Susu gave you some Mule Debade, some Mula, Samba Hago to Malaysia, 레수 삼님 협대에서
In reply to this doubt, then Shantideva replies that in the case of Shariputra, he was able to, having lost abandoned bodhicitta, he was quickly able to enter the paths of the Theravada and progress, becoming an Arya and even an Arhat in that life. So to achieve individual liberation like that comes about in dependence on a wide number of causes. Generally, we have an understanding of what the causes are that are required, but in the case of a particular individual and their own spiritual progression, the workings of karma are inconceivable. It is difficult it's not possible rather, for ordinary beings such as ourselves. It is inconceivable, or such workings are inconceivable for ordinary beings such as ourselves. We cannot understand the fine detail of the mass of causes that a being had already accumulated, and thereby were able to be ripened, enabling swift spiritual development, as in the case of Shariputra.
만주게 차신 차와 되게 만주게 삼율에 대바레스 지나디 탐지케바 코네킹레스 상유 좀 된디게 마도신 킹 말에 레기 레균제 차신 차와 되게 안에 상유 코네 마도신 또투 말에서 상주 삼율 대바레 상유 코네 캠바레스 되다 송거다 탐지케바 코네킹세.
Then the final line, such very subtle workings of karma can only be understood by the omniscient, by Buddhas.
Dini zadang ganjile legi dinige jajumbe janjusemba tomba janjusem tomba ine cedele jajumbe jibo tobadi ane legi bene giwi le samni michaba bao jigi 차신 차와지 근데 사여바디 만주에 하고 두고 말해서 만주 소소기 방안을 주기 삼유리 대바랑 아주 또 두고 말해서 또 마두바디 안에 탐지기 마상여 좀 내내 권에게 말해서지 운두신에 무슨 거로와.
Therefore the inconceivable workings of karma are well beyond the comprehension of ordinary beings such as ourselves. Only Buddhas, those with perfected consciousnesses, the omniscient consciousness, can understand the subtle workings, the very fine workings of karma.
Adona garasungorasene jeza ya deji dangbo sanji sunbati janju sem ge janju sem jobala labi jebe kelen jene an janju sem nyamle ma janju sem tombaina semjan tamjela and semjan namga 타다니 be semjan tamjelo 고고동 차이고래 되네게 디버침버 사기리 에서지 되네게 난 되나 디버침버 사이단 소수 된들 마기야지 간들이 끼루고래 에서 송로와 안에 다데 되네게 안에 janju sem 바도나야 안에 지게 야 세들이야 자주미지고 톱지 안데 토바도 와세데 되네게 삼다데 나가서 삼나리야 아니 가르리게레스는 어다디 janju sem 도나야 and Singasol Gigin Samar, Sempege, Samno Jungruada, Singasol Nasola de Gigi Samar, and Tarpatugin said Sempege, or Ducin, some Yubi, Deniga, some Korean, Yanjig, Barshik Chagor, Cousin, that Janjusem Tomba in there, and this is a Gangan chess came in the Sosora, and Quad Setilia judgment to two said to go or what in Eza, and Simjan Tamjig doing Jamatu, Soso judgment to Tom the degree some lorgy, Denigi, Anti Janusem Yungruad and Janusem Carson Gitu Adigasan Denigi, Papa Shirubala, so but in the Jung was and some time, some time on that Digo Marriage, says that dinner some time. Papa Shiribugi, Yamlin Jeva, Nashin, Shingan, can check over and to the Diguru, that society to them out of the Guru. She said, they need some time with Tavena, and you are Marchina Lake and the Stab, and you can start Papa Shiribu Tobati, can start by using and the Haku Kumares. Chisa, Deneza, the Tamjikim, Kona Kempa, Dinis, a ham over Chilean, and to go, or coordination, and the Yungres and some time and no to Chago, as you were down. Deneza, Anzulia. Duchin, some Matawache, and Sosorangi, Janjusem, and the Jige, Manyabache, that Janjusem, Payan, Janjusem, Minyamba, Nyamba, Suma, Sunyati, Gichambori, so some word than that.
meaning to take away for ourselves is that we understand that to attain Buddhahood, one has to generate bodhicitta. And having generated bodhicitta, then one has to engage in the various activities of the bodhisattva. But it's understanding this, we should also then be very clear that abandoning the aspiration of the bodhisattva, this determination to become a Buddha, so as to guide others to gain freedom from their suffering, if we abandon that aspiration, it is non-virtuous, and thereby is very likely to lead to rebirth in the low realms. We should not allow ourselves to be deceived by having heard about the exception of Shariputra and then thinking, oh, this is probably just fear-mongering. I can ignore such a warning. And because in this way we end up dismissing this warning, thinking that if I find the paths of the Bodhisattva too challenging, too difficult, it's okay. I can change my mind and enter the paths of a practitioner of individual liberation, like Shariputra did. And I can postpone my generation of bodhicitta, take care of my own individual liberation first. So we here, to guard against such a misunderstanding, we need to recognize that we are not likely to have the unique circumstances, the karmic background that Shariputra had. So don't allow ourselves to be deceived thinking, well, perhaps we're special just like he was. And thereby guard the precious minds of compassion and love that we've generated. And should we generate bodhicitta, guard this precious mind from declining in strength. The 8th verse in the 4th chapter. That is for Bodhisattvas the heaviest amongst the downfalls. If it were to occur, the welfare of all sentient beings would be diminished.
Dene chanju sembala, dene domala ne chanju semba degi, ane chanju sem tonga ina sorda chanju sema nyamba ina tung dene chanju sem tonga ne tonga jiwa deres. Chesa dene chanju semba, dene chanju semba la tonga na ne jiwa deres. Dene ki da diwa chisho deres, diwa chimbo deres.
First 2 lines, that is for Bodhisattvas the heaviest amongst the downfalls. This refers to the new Bodhisattva having made a sincere and heartfelt promise, a promise that they made from their own side, no one forced them into it, a promise to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as well as all suffering beings. I will become a Buddha. I will, now that I am a Bodhisattva, I'll train alongside my fellow Bodhisattvas, striving to become a Buddha, helping sentient beings along the way, and having as my heart motivation, helping others gain freedom from suffering. So having made that promise, so this is the first line, having made that promise, then abandoning bodhicitta, turning one's back on beings in need, that is the heaviest amongst the downfalls for a bodhisattva.
Denige chanju semge chanju sembe choba labgin sembe chanju sembe doma songje doma songne denige doma songan digi chanju semde pha nyam chuba ina tongba ina dene chanju sembe ge zadong se chungwa le so zadong le sisa dongwa se de zadong chungwa le so re.
So if having made the vow of the bodhisattva, then abandoning one's bodhicitta like this is the heaviest amongst the downfalls.
Denegi da janju semki che janju sembege doma masong ba ina domba song me ba ina janju semde nyam ba ina da janju semba ije domba janju sembe domba masong wa che denegi masong wa de janju semde nyam ba ina janju sembe zadong jungya ya ma ra dong wa jung zadong se jungya ya ma ra me ba za ko la ka ri che 디바 침보래서 지와 돼서 디바 나가 저기 디바 침보 가나 저기 소다게 dombo 송위 냠발레 디니 디발레디 제주섬 동안에 디바 체체거래서 지와 돼서 디시고래.
For to be a downfall, the Bodhisattva needs to have made the vow of the Bodhisattva, and thereby their bodhicitta would be suitable to be called or labeled engaging bodhicitta. So for them, should they abandon this promise, they commit a downfall. But if the Bodhisattva, the new Bodhisattva, had not yet made the vow of the Bodhisattva, and their bodhicitta was that of aspiring bodhicitta, they could not make a downfall because they have not made the vows of the Bodhisattva. But nevertheless, it still would be greatly non-virtuous to abandon their bodhicitta. So the difference would be, if the bodhicitta is that of engaging bodhicitta, where the vow has been made, then it's a downfall. But if the vow has not been made, that aspiring bodhicitta, then it would be greatly non-virtuous.
Denegi Janjusem Tonga Jiwa de S and Diva Chimbores, Diva Chimjiwa said that Diva Chimbores Gurwada. Dene Zadang Jugi Janjusem Dongyati, that Janjusem Batigi, that Janjusem Don de Carly Gorasina, Dang is some Tamji Dunje to somebody, assemble some of the Gigorwada. Just some Tamji Dunje to somebody, some of the Kinji Tene Gigorwada. Anna Kinji Categoras and a Gabrielia, Sosuke Shanlia, Pampaji Robert Pendo Julian de Gabria, Shangi, so the Gunju, Shu, Gendaji Magubata, Gunju, Chichia, oh, that Semjan Tamjig Dunje, the Semjan Jigi, Semjan Gile, Pampa Julia, the Necale Capona, Semjan Tamja said the Tayaba, Jangme Bachiri, Jenza Semjan Tamjig, don't kind of see horror. Meet Kashiliang a Pando to 2 minutes, Denigi, Dova Makan Baja, Dene Ganga Jigido, Dova can 2 minutes, Semjan Tamja can spend to 2 days, Semjan Tamjig, Dunje to Samare, some like you order. Gion, that Diniki and the Garjosana, that's also Semjan Tamjig, Dunje to Samadel, Nekap Sosana, Corridungal, Tabatum, the Jews and be. Denigi some that is a Semjan Tamjig, Dunje to Samare, some of the Leodu, Denigi, and Lucian and some corner Lucian, some of the Janjusem Pat Yamdu, that don't go. Chesa, since Janjusem Doyadi, Semjan Tamjig, Dunji to Samar, that Jig me, Sembe, some Roshiliorova. Delia, the Anki, Jigger, Sosuke, Shanlia, Pember, Chikia, the Shangiba, Junji in the Jigimido, Jigimido, Chikama, that in all that Semjakatas. Michilia didn't robot to women, the Koyasem Jipando to women, the Kola and its Gavuchi to women. That's some Jatamjila and 102 good as somewhere that some Jatamji doing Chitu Samari, some Gigorwa. The Niki and the judges don't know where it's.
By the time someone is a bodhisattva, they would have trained with great vigor and determination for a very long time, reflecting on the sufferings of samsara, given rise to a deep determination to gain freedom from suffering, then recognizing that others are in the same position as themselves, and thereby having that as the basis to generate love and compassion, and develop that to the extent where they have uncontrived bodhicitta and be counted amongst bodhisattvas. So this is where the practitioner is. So for them, at this point, to have generated uncontrived bodhicitta after an extensive period of intense training, it won't just happen. It will come about in dependence on particular causes. So this should be well understood, so that in one's own training, one can guard one's mind through recognizing where danger lies. So a reason may well be that one encountered a difficult situation as a new bodhisattva, having made this promise to help all beings, having met someone, trying to help them, but their response was perhaps very negative or ungrateful, and the situation was very difficult for oneself. The thought may then arise, how can I help this person? They are not interested in what I'm trying to do. In fact, they are repelling me. They're pushing me away. How can I help such a being? And if I can't help this single being, how can I help limitless beings, beings that are so many they are uncountable in number? This is beyond my capacity. Now the bodhicitta is in grave danger. Here the practitioner may well renounce their bodhicitta through renouncing helping all beings, seeing that this fulfilling this promise that they've made to all beings is beyond their capacity. If they renounce their bodhicitta, very likely, together with that, because they will still have their uncontrived definite emergence, that will guide them to say, well, helping all beings is beyond my capacity, but I am going to gain freedom for myself, and I will strive to gain liberation from the suffering realms of samsara. So in this case, bodhicitta is lost, and now one is striving for one's own individual liberation alone.
Nyamyagi Kienro, Guru, Kien, the Denison, Yamdu, Rezura. The Deneza and Denicablia, that Baoyeting Wores, or that the Baoyeti, Cesar, the Nika Samloti, Jidu, and a jigger, the Nika Sam Gidu Cabla, that Subi, or that jigger, Sem the Otarani, the city. Tom the Tigers and Petunia, Samba Kiel, Pakie, Deep Pakie, the Sungu, the Niki to Baoyetin, some of the t-shirts and Madame, and so. Yaja gave you short, Jajusem Yamlenjagi, gave you cholia, Dango, Resi, Tisadelia, and the servers to be Yamlenjada, the Nigi, a jigger, or the Subi Payata, the Nigi Jajusem, Yamleja, the Nigi, and Jignalia, Tinzikanga, you do Servocomia de Pay Yahures and big Subi Payata, Subi Payata, Servocomia, loss of a chebena, and the King and Pachetile Sungorwa, the Nigger Sungo, that's Serva said. Gasori, the nigger semdi, the nigger pal, Madamaje, and the same shoe chayagi, same shumbi, samloti, ye the pal sungje, gaje, but del Madamaje, and same delia, and the serving in Yaman Cholia, to some died that, Bahit and Basur, the nigger, sometimes Subi Payata, Subatiada, Subi Payata, but you sem gomana, and the Jajusem. But in some tango or Asia, the nigger some down, the nigger by you danger, Jerusalem Yamba till Sungu or Manyambadi, Joe or Esmore.
So this is an illustration of a potential cause for the decline of bodhicitta, or perhaps even the abandonment of bodhicitta. So here the bodhisattva needs to rely on a key mind that they have been utilizing in their training thus far, the mind of conscientiousness. Conscientiousness is an excellent basis for patience, and it's patience that is particularly required here. So by utilizing conscientiousness, the bodhisattva can prevent their mind from going in a negative direction and rather employ genuine patience. So conscientiousness is a pivotal mind for practitioners, especially bodhisattvas, to rely on. And in an instance like this, it will enable the bodhisattva to generate patience. Conscientiousness will enable the bodhisattva to generate patience and thereby not be overwhelmed by self-centered attitudes, not to be overwhelmed by their afflictions or deceived by their afflictions. So therefore conscientiousness is a crucial mind to rely upon.
Is Deniki Bayo Sunido Dinalolia, Carrions and Sutumiam Ligorua, Carciliorasene, Chisa, Jaju Sem Yamma Jubaji, Jaju Sem Yang Mo compared to Diada, Jaju Sem Yamelia, Denik Gangali, Jiniki, Kun Casur, Parcele, the Delba, some of the Pasungine, and the Delia Subi Yamne Jadu, and the Jaju Sem. Manyamba Sonyata, Jesusim the more compared Taya de Chiodu, Manyaba Sonadi, and Tsumcha, Gawa Chudu, Tsum said, what I'm Tsumana, same Jedu, Gawa Chudu, Tsum, Neju, Dombe Tsum, and Gawa Chudu, Tsum Jedu, Tsum said, or what I'm Tsum, Jesusim Tsum Sungor, which is that Tsum Sonyodu, the Nigga Jesusim Yama Jubaje, Pa Yama Jubu. Nyamyagi Parcheti Pa Gaje, Jesusim Manyamba, 개와 야 전심비 연된다야다 데니게 강아체도 쇠배 냠는 제도 지어도 다 개회치도 수름세 개와 소속이 냠는 게 개와디 야 요공배다 따야도 지고로 봐 제가 지내자 개와 주치도 수름세 바위에 전유세 마냠바 전유세 마냠바 근데 지게 야 공배 편에 삼다 전유세 마냠 야 공배 따야다 데니게 깽아 줘야 될야 네 쇠배 공배다 쇠배기 공지시리 네 도시 전시 많이 봐 송고로 봐 제가 되네자 소소규라 개위 최뒤 소소규라 냠래 전시 심리 냠래나 쇠배 냠래 뒤에 고면데 대개와 최뒤 수름시 송고로 봐 제가 디나데 뭐소 시그널을 제가 수름시면은 돌려야 도시 전체에 다 바위에 수름 수름 써야 돼 저 바위에 냠래 야라 바위에 이제 송고고 있어 도시에 제가 송고로 해서 또 나디 송고로 봐
Conscientiousness is closely related to ethical restraint. And how so? Is because conscientiousness enables the bodhisattva to prevent their bodhicitta from declining. And for the bodhisattva to prevent the decline of their bodhicitta is a key ethical training for a bodhisattva. So conscientiousness it has a key role in being a basis for patience. And amongst the three types of ethical restraint, the one is ethics of restraining from misdeeds, the second is ethically practicing virtuous qualities, and the third is ethically striving to benefit sentient beings. Here, reference is to ethically practicing virtuous qualities. The virtuous quality is that of patience. And ethics enables the practice of patience, and conscientiousness is related to the practice of ethics. So whilst ethics and conscientiousness is not explicitly mentioned in the verse, this is the context of the chapter, and therefore we know that it is implied in the meaning that the bodhisattva, in instances such as these, needs to be conscientious.
전시 셈게 셈제 탐지기 된다 두긴 세베 전시 셈게 전시 셈베 domba 송제 아니게 데네게 만바체 전시 셈 동와이나 전시 셈 자동 셈 동비게는 자동 기고레스 다 전시 셈베 domba 송메나야 전시 셈 동와이나 데 아니 전시 셈 동비 디바디 안 디바 냐바 첨부슈레스 냐바 첨부레스 오도시네 디용고레 데네자 디 and Sungupchelia, and the Bayete, and Jensi, Payan Jambata, Denegi, Sem Shumbata, Den Leundu, and the Sevacomia, La Sobala, so Jengi, Denegi, as Gangate, the Sevacomia, Dele, Howard, Nijocomia, Duscine, Sem Duscine, Samutaje, Jensis Manaba Sungo, the Nadisumudua.
Bodhicitta, this determination to benefit all sentient beings and benefit them in all ways, in particular the most meaningful of ways. This is the most precious of minds, and the bodhisattva, as a key component to their training of ethics, will guard this bodhicitta from declining and certainly from abandoning it. And if it were to be abandoned, this would be a downfall if the practitioner had engaging bodhicitta, or greatly non-virtuous if their bodhicitta was that of aspiring. So to guard their bodhicitta well, the bodhisattva needs to rely on conscientiousness and thereby ethics. And through relying on conscientiousness and ethics, the bodhisattva will also, in times of danger such as this, readily recall the many benefits of bodhicitta. This too will be a technique employed to bring about the successful application of patience, and thereby bodhicitta will be protected from declining.
Didar dine jungyur nas, and the semjian kun yu dun la mese. Didar dine jungyur nas, the didar se, dinigi, janshu sem gie, janshu sem bijuba, labgi sibi, dinigi, domo sonye, and didar dine, and the janshu sem nyamba in as, janshu sem donwigi, and the nyambigi 동함 데네 디파지와 중화이나서 자주심 냠바규와이나서 월때 디다디네 중교나서 데네 냠바나나 교행 가려요래라는다 냠나네 교행 가려요래라도 다 벌써 semje kunyu duen la me si semje tham je yu duen ge chen bu zhu bi ge dian de nyam so re es ji san semje gi nyam so wa yin za ne semje tham je gi duen ge chen bu zhu ba ge de le men ba re si zhang shu sem gyu le yu ba yin na zhang shu sem gi to ne ne semje tham je yu duen zhu bi semje tham je yu duen la ge wa nyam len che ba de ge wa de da ge wa ba lo me ba da duen da pe ma se ge chen bu che go ro wa ji san de ne yin za 다 전주심의 냠송에 있나 아니 비전에 펜버 주베네 판도디 전주심 냠는 제반하시 냠는 제베 판도션에 심증이 된다라 판도 주야의 용 두고 말해 이제 데레 전주심 규례의 냠는 제베 비전에 판도 주베기 데레 안다 멤버에 용 교어래 가서래 누발을 무슨 총아 차버려서 맨세데 누가 총을 차르고 그래서
The third and fourth line. If it were to occur, it referring to bodhicitta declining or even being lost, then the fault that would follow, then the fourth line, is that the welfare of sentient beings would be diminished. This is because bodhicitta has the potential to bring so much benefit to beings, to the bodhisattva and all those that the bodhisattva directly engages with, and through them indirectly engages with others. So much benefit will follow to beings. But if the bodhicitta declines, and certainly if it's lost, then the ability to be of benefit, this is greatly diminished. So even the declining strength of the bodhicitta, or the declining capacity of the bodhisattva, results in limited benefits coming to others, less benefit than otherwise would have been attained. And this then is the meaning of the fourth line. The welfare of sentient beings, all sentient beings, would be diminished.
And 전주 셈바 코로나 저기 냠는 난한도 두스는 거래서 거라다 전주 셈 귤레기 전주 셈베 돈바송 되네게 전주 셈바 대기기 근데 가르 두스 공부 다 파삼로 따야다 두스 단 거래서 제가 전주 셈디 전주 셈의 셈자 탐지기도 산주 고마 토바 지기세 전주 셈기 전주 셈베 돈바송 제 대랭이 지기 전주 셈 냠주바 있는다 되네기 냠주바 있는데 디바침보 슈사고레스 아니 베마시 디바침보레 사디 디바침보사고레스 베규엔디 삼다야다 안 되네기 냠바 있나 되네기 장주심 또 냠송바 있는다 셈자 탐지기 된 셈지 펜발로 주베네 된다 충충마다 용거 봐 진짜 나 셈자 탐지기 된다 개침보 주베기 땡데 냠송고레 진짜다 셈자 탐지기 된 주베 셈지 된 주베네 된 충충마다 된다 개침보 주투고 말아 진짜 멤버를 찾고레스 다 디네데 베사사리 삼제 두치네 삼다제 다 장주심 가서래 경험 발시로 가는 친구이네 장주선데 만년바체 냠네 지인세비다 되네기 켈렘바 나신지 냠네 탈셔바 지인세비다 두신의 삼다 당제네 냠네 난고레서 그러다
Meaning of this verse then is that the bodhisattva, having generated bodhicitta, must not only engage now in the various activities of a bodhisattva, but must also guard their bodhicitta from declining, or certainly from being abandoned. And this capacity to guard their bodhicitta well comes about in dependence on them recognizing the negativities that they themselves will incur, but also the loss of benefits that others would otherwise receive from them. Because this bodhisattva is motivated by a genuine desire to be of benefit to others, to ease their suffering and pain. And through recognizing that should their bodhicitta merely decline, they will be of less good in the lives of others. This will serve to motivate this new bodhisattva to guard this precious mind from declining. So this is very important because especially new bodhisattvas all bodhisattvas encounter challenges, but for new bodhisattvas these are more difficult to deal with. So the bodhisattva needs to be prepared to skillfully deal with hardships that will be encountered.
난 전시 셈바디게 제가 내내 자다 조조 전시 셈바디게 랑 지싱이 삼바 신헬야 제가 신헬류 마땅 가지고 우리 해서 전시 셈비기다 랍자나라 전시 신헬류 미통화 류 미통 가지고 우리 해서 소소게 신헬야 지승하는 주 전시 셈냠는 지인들 이게 신헬의 펜버드제 신이 균주에 자 강하시고 제외네 당이 콜에 심진 찌리네 당이 디린 파 콜에 로고균에 지금에 셈베게 뉴삼 당겨 말이지 내가 브링네 아직 내가 브링려야 어디 되네시 내가 콜에 로고 지금에 셈베 삼로제 요땅 주고레스 이나다 디린 파 콜에 때사오 기능이 로고 지금에 판도 죽음에 셈베 삼균에 당겨 말이 디타베나 근데 심진 려 통화 차고레 심진 려 땅고 당이 로고 지금에 콜 로고 지금에 셈베 심진 려 통화 차고레 지난 디네 려 땅은 심진 탐지나 펜버 두긴세디라 대견중고 지난 디 당겨 말이 지난디 데네게 심절려다 안 조조라 랑 지진기 삼로디 바전 심만 랑 지진 배 균체셨다고 그래 묘모벌에 랑 지진이 균체했다고 전심바디기 제가 랑 지진 세야되게 랑신 니가라 강한테다 산지고 뭐 토모티어 봐 셴레 펜버 두마다 랑 지진 디게레샤 셈베 랑 지진 삼로디게 알이야 배직 균치고 다진텔이야 직마 아니 지금 도시네 다고라 데네자 랑치싱이 삼로디 게알이야 송고로와 송고고데 게마죠 손제자 랑치시 삼로 게바네 전심 동두고래 제자다 콩로 게바 잠기 되샤 게바다 콩로 게바 잠기 전심 동두고 마 동고 말와 콩로 게바 이나다 나자다 녀모바 게베나 콩로 전심 동고 말 랑치싱이 삼로디 게소나 당 아라치부 타바톰데 디고다 랑아라치부 디기룸데 디고도 셈녀데 셈자 탐지게 됨 지투 사마레서 베삼리고로 제자 디네자 전심 동두고래 제자 디네자 제주세만 게 랑치생이 삼로질래야 균치죠 동고 따고 그래 제래
A central training for the Bodhisattva is to guard themselves from coming under the influence of the self-cherishing mind. This is a central training of the Bodhisattva. And the harm of the self-cherishing mind for the Bodhisattva is particularly clear here in the context of guarding one's bodhicitta from declining. Because to lose one's bodhicitta doesn't necessarily thinking, I will help no one but myself. It's sufficient to merely think that one individual being, I will have nothing to do with them. I will not help them now or ever. Abandoning one being in this way means that the Bodhisattva can no longer say they are striving for the sake of all, because they've now abandoned one. And in this way, bodhicitta is lost. And this will come about, it's unlikely to come about due to anger. Anger doesn't arise easily for the Bodhisattva. But the deep habituation to the self-cherishing mind, this may well lead to the Bodhisattva turning their back on even a single sentient being. So therefore the self-cherishing mind, grasping at oneself as dear, guarding against this is a central practice of the Bodhisattva, and it helps to prevent the bodhicitta from declining.
제사다야 랑치신 레균시부터고 랑치신 디방고 고래세 기시야돼 야 델야 추야게 냥아지 침보시거래 그래서 랑치신시도 랑치신 지교 말에 라면도 랑래야 제와 지교 말 랑래 가부 지교 말 랑이 디기 된달라 삼다교 말세디 레교 말다가지 다 데네 고야게 냥아요 랑치신 지교 말 랑치신 방고서 랑래 제와 지교 말 랑래 가부 지교 랑래 디기 두교 말에 제샘 지도 랑마 메리 다야다 랑을 교부슈대 삼다이데 말에 랑치스 딜고 말에 다데디 세상은 주게 지소하나고 랑치스 방고라서 랑을 제와 지교 말에 랑을 얀 디기 두교 말에 셈베기 디니기 라베디 인세레 삼 고야게 냥아요와 디 말에
In the training of the aspirant bodhisattva and the bodhisattva, there's a lot of reflection on the faults of the self-cherishing mind. But it is very possible, though, in one's initial training, to misunderstand this crucial practice, because abandoning self-cherishing does not mean that one looks down on oneself and criticizes oneself, one disregards oneself, sees oneself as unworthy. This is not the meaning of the self-cherishing mind or the abandonment of the self-cherishing mind. It is not accompanied by an attitude that is negative towards oneself.
제가 데니기 소소리야 제와지기뭐 소소레 디기두기뭐 데니 삼당교네 전신선바디기 가르삼동을 전신선바디기 나랑 섬제 탐적이 돈라 산지 고모 토고도 나랑 의견 차상 세우고도 나랑 의견 차상 토고도 선비 소소레 디 섬거로 하셔서 나랑 견군 세고도 나견 차상 빵고고도 나原点 차상 나 토고고도 나 상계 고고도 세데 랑이야 배지랑 시우지 상계 고모서에게 다 초도 규바디 톱자조데 상계마도요 말와 지상 랑이 상계 고모서고 랑이 상계 고고도 랑이 견 탐제단 자고도 랑이原点 탐제 토고고도 지데 랑 강아 위네 매봐 현려 로고 제발이야 판도 가르치면 랑을 강아 위네 매봐 랑이 가르치는 제 투바지 뉴바디 대바 소고도 섬고로 지상 랑을 야배지 다 랑을 제와 배도 슉첨부 슉이다 지 유대와 책을 와 지상 지자디 랑 지신 방고를 해야지 랑을 지와 맞아 랑 디기 두고 말아야지 삼단하디 치고 시고 지상 랑을 이제 전신 배념례데 랑 띠게 되와 산교고 바토에 교연군시 연대군의 대바 제후도 선배 다 랑이 군대 군대 대바 진의 랑이 되기 푸는 소과도 줍네 대샤리아 소수기 냠녀토네 샬레디기 두게게 탑람 배주치긴 순고로와 제자 디네자 대 전신 배념례 차상 오늘 랑을 제와 마체바다 랑 디기 템바 무주바데 가 차고 말와 제자 디네 삼다.
The understanding that the Bodhisattva must come to in terms of seeing the faults of the self-cherishing mind and the determination to not be under its sway, this for us can be quite subtle to understand. It can be quite challenging to understand clearly, because in society there can be a tendency to look down on oneself, to be self-critical. But the training in abandoning the self-cherishing mind is not so much about not thinking about one's own needs or one's own happiness, because actually what the Bodhisattva is striving to do is to, they themselves, cultivate all good qualities. They themselves to gain freedom from suffering. They themselves to become the most perfect of beings, a Buddha. So it's not with that understanding that the Bodhisattva themselves recognizes, I need to develop all excellent qualities. I need to become a Buddha. The Bodhisattva is very aware of themselves. They're not ignoring their own needs. But the understanding is, it's not that the Bodhisattva does not think of themselves, but it's how they think of themselves. This is what changes. The Bodhisattva will have a strong sense of compassion for themselves. Self-compassion is a prior generation to the generation of actual compassion for all sentient beings. Comes with the understanding of definite emergence. And this will stay very strong for the Bodhisattva. So the Bodhisattva will have a deep sense of self-care, knowing that in order to develop good qualities, the Bodhisattva also needs to look after themselves as a practitioner. So this attitude that the Bodhisattva is striving to develop towards themselves is very healthy. It's not one of looking at oneself as of no importance and looking at oneself in a negative way. So this is important to understand, but this understanding requires quite some thought as to get it right. It's quite subtle, and to get the balance is quite difficult.
네, 나도 비네 먼저 지소 나래네 신 강아 체주도 신이 최소 교배를 로고 제발라 소수기 최소 교야리아 년 튕긴 되지 채우도아 배내 년도 바로 준비시에 다들 지금서 매바다 매나는 송급제를 바교가 줘도 담보 소설을 류리아 수부들이야 너지 바 송급 차상 대리지고 소설이야 되게 뇌세 마포야기 튕긴 차상 대리제제 현실 송급제가 줘도 인디난 지부지야다 전주센바디게 현기 다디디페네 년도바디기 디송유 공바데 소소 지부제 소소 기본上된다 공고 말아 현예 판도 주야려 나 강가 전에 현도 현의 판도 주 말 진짜 현예 강가 바로가 제발디 송급기 체도 현기 송급기 체도 공고를 와다 뉴다도라 니나신 전주센바디 얘기 제가 라니 타르바 심제 코르 동화를 가서 람 녀모버 군세바다 연대 군의 대바 중요하게 소소라니라 누도 풍선 초보 영향이디 삼단디 토벌 지고래 니 된다디 소수기 된다 말면 소수 디기 주야 말 바체 현리에 판도 주야랴 현기 체도 디 주고와 제자디 주고에서 제자랑리야 뭐소 삼야디 현기 된다 삼고데 이내 제부도 소소를 미용 거로 당하지 디용 거로 와서 세배 냠는데
In order to be able to give of oneself to others, one has to have skills and qualities to give. So we take a very common and easy to understand illustration from society. If someone wants to work in the police force or as a bodyguard, where one physically and is involved in protecting others, one needs to look after one's own body. If one's own body is weak and frail, one will struggle to physically protect others. So in order to be able to fulfill their job, to do their job, to fulfill their role in society, the police or bodyguards then need to develop, have a healthy body and develop various physical skills. So similar attitude then for the Bodhisattva, that for the Bodhisattva, to be able to be of benefit to others, the Bodhisattva needs to take care of themselves, need to ensure that their body is strong and healthy, and that they have an abundance of qualities, of mental qualities, and thereby can give to others. So what one finds with the Bodhisattva is they're very focused on self-development, but their motivation, their explicit motivation, what's at the forefront of their own mind is, I'm doing this so that I can give to others. Their self-development, their training is done explicitly to benefit others. The benefiting of others is not the side product of them developing skills and talents, but that is the specific purpose. But in order to fulfill that purpose, to be able to express themselves with their various talents and skills, the Bodhisattva has to thereby develop skills and take care of themselves.
yen dunga se sam digya ta je ne nyamne je komyo de ane rangduen di ya ngo gone go de phe che ne rangduen di sha la su tu yong go le je le ta nga zo wa da rangduen ja sam ta je nga rang de da la nga di je ya ko do nga je ra chi mo go do nga je ben jue chi mo go do nga ming chi mo go do je sa da nga di je wa lo kon zu ba chi go do kon zu pa ji ne 바시 시간들이 매바 소고도 되네 삼다 삼로데 라운드 짱짱 라운드 약고요 짱짱 삼단 거때 라운드 주네 맞아 된다 푸서 소바 맞아 강하게 레드 라운드 두고 말이지 제가 삼다 라운드 삼자 아니 제 라운드 두고 말 현대의 파저 라운드 두고 말 봐다 다 전주 선바들이 삼라한테 현대 라운드 주네 삼단 거 현대 짱짱 현대 펜베 삼다 현대 짱짱 삼단 거데 된다로 슈러 라운드 배지 뭐 고메도 고네 고데 야야 두고 오르바데 되니기 제자 삼단하게 돈에 되니기 냠내 제야데 지차고 제자 전시 선바디게 랑기 된다라 samdamata je shen yudunda diborde. Chisa di shen yudunda dubela rani tarpa toyata lam nyamne rimba sanjo kopa toyagi nyamne rimba chigyo. Chisa janju sempa teki shen rang chizin bango rang chizin gyun dagyo sido rang chizin sayadi ta kanichi lagor sayane shen yawa doje shen dule samdamata je ngarang jibu digi gudu nga yabu chisa ngala ya digi yunala shenda digi kanga tiken digi parchi digi pa seyo mewa suyo newa jibu samba tangwe na di rangdun di digi yo mara chi rangdun chisa rangdun rang chizin bangure sayadi janju sempa teki rang chizin gyun dagire rang chizin bangure say rang chizin ne kare seyo sa shen gi yawa do rang shen liya ane pamba da rangi ane digi tubiya samno chiki yorwa da 어디 삼로디 다 괜해서 왔다 랑 지진 방고래서 디래 시야와 되네 랑 대기 주바 되게 삼로 줘와 어디라 랑 지진세 디 자주세만은 괜다야 디래다 지사 자주세만은 랑 지진 방고래서 디스 월들
Bodhisattva will have a very healthy sense of self. Because that is the foundation within which they can sincerely strive to benefit others. So at the very forefront of the Bodhisattva's mind will be the wish to benefit others. And all that the Bodhisattva does has that as the motivation. But this comes about independent on a foundation of a very healthy sense of self, not having a low opinion of oneself or a deprecating oneself, seeing oneself in a negative light, because that just limits the Bodhisattva's capacity. So to understand this perhaps more clearly is a Bodhisattva and an ordinary being can be engaging in the same activity, but they will be doing so with very different genuine motivation. Us as an ordinary being, we'll be engaging in that activity with a sense of competitiveness, wanting to do better than others, wanting to gain recognition for what we have done, wanting to achieve ahead of others. This is very normal in society. This is the way of ordinary beings. A bodhisattva will be engaging in that same activity, but will be doing so with a sincere wish to develop skills to be of greater benefit to others. Thereby they'll be free of competitiveness. If someone else in that group is outperforming them, the bodhisattva is genuinely happy for them. They will still push themselves, they'll still strive to develop, but they'll be thrilled to see others developing too. They'll be free of competitiveness because what they want is others to gain benefit. And if someone else is doing very well in that same activity, this is, for the bodhisattva, will bring great joy to their mind. And in particular, what the bodhisattva will be striving in is to develop mental paths within and to strengthen those ever further and be of ever greater help to others. But for the bodhisattva, if they have, to the extent they are governed by the self-cherishing attitude, that will limit them in terms of their progress in developing the paths of the Mahayana within. Because the self-cherishing attitude will lead to them pushing others aside. Whereas the opposite, the other cherishing attitude, will lead the bodhisattva to embrace others and do all that they can to help. Seeing this difference within then, for the bodhisattva, it's very clear that the attitude that needs to be abandoned is a self-centered attitude. And what is to be embraced is a genuine attitude of wanting to help others. And included within that is developing ever more skill to be able to help others. In this way, the bodhisattva abandons grasping at themselves as dear, but with ever greater sincerity holds others as dear.
Rani Jibu, Simjan Tamjiki Dunda Chitusa, Rani Jibu Digi Tuyagi, Samlodi, Dunyagi Samlodi, the Ranchis and Samoa said, Dele Ajan Simigun Tagore, Dima Pama to Dinian Pote, Dele Gun Tagore, Ejerwa. 다 전시 셈바되게 함 라니 심지어 탐지기도 산주 고방 토바 띵이 대화 토바 뒤고로와 디랑 라니 테 대화 토바 델라 란치진 시고마다 가르스네 대지들 소소치부 디기 토야게스 디기 돈돈이야지 다 샨다데 제투 심지어 샨다 가르치 던제도 마도 소소치부 디기 주나 소소치부 디기 주나 디기레스 셈베삼노델라 란치진 삼라고 란치스 민다고 다 전시 셈바되게 함 저기서 뭐 그런 게 나랑 상지 고방 토고도 띵지 대화 상지 고방 교육구수 인데 군대 나랑 약부 차고 좀 배삼로 저러와 될랑 지진 라고 말해 네가 가르세는 랑 지진 말아야 가르세는 네 장주선 전시선 배삼로디 시행레 디기 주고도 시행레 펜버 주고도 시비 꿀롱 시행레 펜버 줘야 돼 시행레 디기 주야 삼로다 지산 시행레 디기 줘야 돼 시행레 펜버 주고래 튕긴데 가르선 소소 푼순 소바 캠보 푼순 소바다 빵보 푼순 소바다 고구도 디면 시한레 펜버 주투면 시비 라니 고 교육 군세의 연대 군인 차야디 셈진기 된다라야 시한레 펜버 주야게 시한로 로제게 된다래 디 주가 되어봐인자 델이랑 지신라고 말하지 민다 랑지신라고 말디 그래서 시한레 펜버 주비기 튕겨래디 라니 내 교육 군세의 연대 군인이 되고 돈돈이고 될 란치신 라고 말가선디 셴리아 펜버주에 셴리아 디기 주에게 튕긴리아 디 고구도스데 고구에서 디 돈돈이고와 대시 지부디다 랑치신사디 다 셴심전 탐제게 펜버주 투서 마랑 디기 줍는 마랑 코웰 줘지 마랑 디기 줍는 라나 디기도 셈베 삼로디 디 란치신사디 제가 셴리 펜버주에 체제가 소수 지부도나 삼다고 봐 지선 될 밍 랑치신 사진다고 그래. 니니가 삼는니가 ben에 전신바데 고 라니 교육 군시 연된 군의 상교 고방 토바 되는 일거로 와. 이 되는 일도 심지 소수기다 교육 군시 연된 군의 되는 일거로 와. 다대지 랑치신 삼다데 소수 년모 바차데 제가 코가스 년모 탐질을 빨리 코르에 대화라니 지부 대화 디기 주에 되는 일거로 진짜 니가 그 되는 일과 되는으로 지레데 이나 지디 전신바디 디 셈쟁이라 팬도 주에 튕기네 차기는다 되는 일거로 와. 다대 지부디 삼나다 소수 지부도 나 삼단 거로 와. 니니디 개발도 와.
Key focus of the Bodhisattva is to ensure that they do not come under the influence of the self-cherishing mind, but they strive to eradicate it and have the other cherishing mind as dominant within them. So this is a key training for the Bodhisattva. But whilst that is a key training for the Bodhisattva is striving for their own spiritual development. But the difference between the Bodhisattva and a non-Bodhisattva is that when they are striving to develop themselves spiritually or attain skills and talents, their motivation is sincerely for the sake of others. Because the Bodhisattva necessarily has the goal of Buddhahood. So the Bodhisattva has within their own mind the explicit goal, I myself will become a Buddha. In order to become a Buddha, I will engage in this and that, and in this way the Bodhisattva sets a motivation. And when it comes to dedicating so that the Bodhisattva, as well as all beings, become Buddhas. So within the Bodhisattva's train of thought, very much is themselves as well. But what makes this way of thinking the other cherishing mind rather than the self-cherishing mind is that they are focused on the alleviation of the suffering of others, and to bring that about, I need to develop ever greater skill within. The Bodhisattva, in their endeavors to benefit others, will be very aware of their own limitations. So whilst the Bodhisattva has incredible inner qualities, especially when compared to ourselves, the Bodhisattva, still though, being far from a Buddha, encounters difficulties in helping others precisely in accordance with other beings' individual disposition and inclinations. And thereby, the Bodhisattva will be driven to continue their own development of inner qualities so that they can be ever more skillful in how they interact with others, guiding others in a way that ideally suits that individual. So the Bodhisattva will be focused on developing their own inner qualities, but it'll be very clear that this is not so that they can stand out from the crowd, that they can get recognition from others, that they can be seen as someone special. That side is absent for the Bodhisattva. The sincere wish is to ease the suffering of others. And in order to be of ever more benefit, the Bodhisattva will interact with others, striving to help them, but at the same time, developing their own inner good qualities. So where the difference between a Bodhisattva and an ordinary being is when helping others, is the ordinary being, their motivation is still very mixed with what others will say about them, how well they are doing, and the sense of self-interest. For the Bodhisattva, that is absent. The Bodhisattva will be focused on benefiting others, and where the Bodhisattva is seeing limitations within, will strive to overcome those so they can be of ever more help to others. And this then is experienced as a sincere wish to benefit others. Self-interest will not come into it for the Bodhisattva. Whereas for an ordinary being, when helping others, there is still a dominant role of self-interest.
And the Bendigo can't do Lamsa, Swabbing Yamlenjada, and Janjusim Payanda, Swavatia, the Dusian Yamlangores, Janjusim Denigi, Yunden Chimbo, Dinija, Batingi, Pa and Yamjuba in the Besasare, said the Shannon Catchimutu Adila, member, and the General Catchimutu, two mothers, a bit Dinigi, Yundiga, some Taji, and the Janjusim Yamlenjigores, Water. In the Dangaranzu in air, Arjula Janjusim came ever in air, Dangaranzu. Nada Kartang, some Kartangos and Dadi, Maranzuli, Labjeliadi, and the Gedina, Janjusim Pen, some Diada, and Janjusim Janjusim Yamsulim Baina, and the Janjusim Titone, Rangi, and some Jatam Jugunala, San Yoko to 2 Yoba, Dimaze Shanley, Pemba Getchimo to 2 Yoba, Jizna Janjusim Yamlin, some Jatam, Jugunda, some Down, Jiza Rangi, Tarba. Tarduk and Sayuko Vadi, Shalia, Tutuyoba, Rangdun, some Madanja, Shandia, some Dandi, and Rangidun Tutuyoba, Payakuresha, some Bejan, some Pay, some da, Yamleje, some da, Gomiada. The Niggy Dangi in a moment, but the Jajusim Gule, yes, however, the Niggy Canis Chavi in there, the Dele de Manyabache, and Sungi, Sembegida, Yamleji, Sepedanzu, Lucian, near Jajusembanam Kinja, and the Dennis Lucian, some dashing. Jigor get in the Chituba Chigin, Denigi on Jugida, Janjusem Yamsulian Bala, that Kioma, the Janjusem Pain, some da, to share some da, then the Janjusem Kiabaina, then a Ganga, then his chair, the Kapla, Janjusem, but you do some time Yamjo, Dinashinga, the Nigga Ganga Tidu Kapla, and then again Janjusem Pain, some diada, Della Sebian Jetuya, Sem Bayet and Tuya, the Nigga Jetuya Chigins and Bigetan Zulodi, Manzuduchin, some time Javaina. And the Mobana, Janjusim Gule, Giavada, give you a couple of Denigi, Giavana, and Denigi Parshir Shumbi in air, and Denigi Delia, and Mongo Chetu, Sungap Chetu, Sim, Gentu at Yungorwa, Janjusimus came in, and Gabriel, Sim Jan San Yuko Tor Shore, Sebe Samlia, Pember to Gisabeta, Janjusim Denigi, Samra Naidu, and Gabriel, me Pajogida, the Chick Coralada, Junja, the Lamsa, and Delia, Adjuduja, Lamoache, and Delia, and she surveyed him the order, Nesim Jan San Yuko, Janjusim, Yamlenchi, Jansum Kungi, Delia, called Corala, said. Passive Kungi, and Penny Jess, and some that 10 to Yachi, Yungua, just a Denigi, Anzuya, Yamlenchi, hiding on that digim. lapchi lingwadi du chinang zui du samdang wa ki chimur yes woroda.
For a bodhisattva then, for what we've looked at tonight, bodhisattva will reflect again and again on the faults of self-cherishing, on grasping at themselves as dear, and reflect on the benefits of holding others as dear. And included within that, the bodhisattva will repeatedly reflect on the benefits of bodhicitta, even though they've already generated bodhicitta. They will continue to reflect on the benefits of bodhicitta to make sure they value this holy, precious mind as it should be valued. And then when they encounter challenges and hardships, they will rely on conscientiousness to ensure that they recall the benefits of bodhicitta. And if they notice that the self-cherishing mind has arisen, they will eradicate it, and rather rely on patience and thereby skillfully deal with the challenges they experience. And thereby, rather than experience a situation as a hardship, but they'll experience it rather as an opportunity for further self-development. In this way, the bodhisattva will skillfully be able to move through their activities benefiting others without taking to heart challenges they experience, but rather seeing them as opportunities for further self-development, for the development of ever greater skill, and thereby to be able to help others ever more. So for ourselves, the way we should relate to what has been presented here is quite similar. When hearing about bodhisattvas, take inspiration so as to give rise to the aspiration to become just like them, to value the presence of these remarkable beings in our world, and strengthen our resolve to join them. We should follow their example with the recognition we are not yet bodhisattvas, but in accordance with our current capacity, we can train just like them. We too can reflect on the benefits of bodhicitta, giving rise to the wish to be a bodhisattva, and thereafter train in the various steps to cultivate love and compassion and bodhicitta. And whatever good qualities we have developed, commit to not letting it decline, and generate the determination, when I become a new bodhisattva, I will guard my bodhicitta so that I do not lose it. In this way, whilst we do not have bodhicitta yet to protect, the love and compassion we have, that we protect. And thereby, in this way, we gain imprints so that when we do arise as a bodhisattva, we'll have these imprints of valuing bodhicitta greatly, and imprints that bring about a determination not to let it decline, to not take it for granted, to not think that now that we've generated uncontrived bodhicitta, we've attained the state of a bodhisattva and it cannot be lost. We'll recognize its preciousness and guard it sufficiently. In this way, with the imprints we generate now in our training, when we do become bodhisattvas, that bodhicitta will not decline. And we will be able to meet the various challenges that a bodhisattva encounters as seeing them as opportunities for our own ongoing self-development and opportunities to be of ever more benefit to others.
Jipede tangla lega inada, nan jiso jibigi lega ro shilewi nada, manzulia, namza, anchi shandagi gyunju eche yodu, namza odadi simchura chada, adadi nga ngedi lega chena, kunzu gyunju chida, detinga jingmesi be simchanda, tanga lega mesi shashayada kongu shuya tanga, dine yunguru wa, tanga lega meda kanga du sikarasine, tenga lega jingi chebe na, gyunju jingi jidna, jimnisi gyunju chigidus, sebaza, anadi ngedi panto yago jitu minu sambege, then I'm going to charge the nigger, simply channel. 어떤 딜레글레 메시지하셔야 띵아주 지소나라 땅아주 집이 연구로 봐 저자 때 니네 양아주 최위 내상 나리아 두스테어도 갑라 강아 체도 갑라 가서도 남사 오다체 디지디 전선바디게 디네 강아 체도 셈려 델리아 쇠베 냠는 지야다 파줄레 니제 냠는 지야 디네 지는 편연섬 다제 편연섬 디네긴 전주섬디 냠머지 냠는 지고 디장에네 디네기 지야데다 디네게 강아도서 연구를 이내 가요 말씀 비고 쇠복곰게 쇠베 냠는 지야 이 샬리에 편바 옆에 나다 강아 가려 나게디 무디 지긴 셈베 삼다베나 줄이야 디 라렌테 딩하줄이야 핑거와 도신 라렌타 호로와다 디 냠는 딩하주게 다 첨보 전유심 냠는 제바이나다 중앙한 저기 지속이 내가 충주로 제비 강아 체리 갑리야 두섬 다베는 한줄이야 핑거로 펜두고와 지나데 디네게 아직 레가데 제베인데 아직 지소나 답주다 강아 첨보 니게 용변은 매 공부 쉬워하자 디면베게는 내가 소속에다 현기 균지 다들 현기 나와 지금은 선배 섬단 남사 셈주 차나 강아 진에 곧 자셔 섬다에는 우리 델리아 안에 수비 냠는 자다 어다시 어다데네 가서 가이마 그런 게 되면 바로 지는 균시어서 파니제 섬다야다 어다데네 현에 펜베네데 펜거랑이 펜베네는 게 무튼 지긴 선배게 섬다베네 운두시는 거야지 니네 양을 레갈이야다 자와 가르쳐베네 델리아 안님도 자신은 삼다 여여와 최고로 받는 것을 비시 당베네
Whilst we as ordinary beings, we have a lot of challenges. Dealing with our own mind is difficult. But if we take to heart how Bodhisattva practices, we can take, and thereby take inspiration, we can even, from right now, as very ordinary beings, living in society, we can radically transform how we live our life, how we approach our life. Because every day we encounter many challenges, and if we approach those as opportunities for spiritual development rather than as hardships or difficulties, we will quickly change our mind. So a very real example is the mind very easily goes towards criticism of others, of their behavior, of their views and opinions, of things they've said or done. This is very common. Guard your mind against that, because recognize that if a bodhisattva were to do that, for the bodhisattva, they are going in the direction of abandoning a sentient being. So us as aspirants to the bodhisattva paths, we should guard our mind from being negative about anyone. Because if we are negative about someone, we distance ourselves emotionally from them. Whereas if we are warm and embracing towards others, we will reach out and be of service to them. So when we feel our mind be negative towards others, stop ourselves, and with joy recognize that you have seen the arisal of an affliction and apply an antidote, rather holding that person in a warm way, in a loving way, recognizing that they are just an afflicted being who is trying their best to attain happiness. But because of the strength of their afflictions, they are engaging in harmful behavior. Don't criticize them, but embrace them. And in this way, what otherwise is a challenge to our spiritual training becomes an opportunity for spiritual development. And in one's daily life, there are so many opportunities just like this that we can utilize to become skillful in how we relate to others. And these examples aren't just to those we are interacting with directly, but those that we hear about or see at a distance. And for this way, to train in this way, there's no need to procrastinate, there's no need to delay for better days or more favorable circumstances. Rather, we can utilize our very lived experience right now, our life right now, and make the most of every opportunity to aid our ongoing spiritual development. And by doing so, our attainment of the Bodhisattva paths comes ever closer. Then thank you. We'll conclude there tonight. Thank you very much.